Next on 7 News at 4.
And remembering a fallen hero, thousands coming out to attend the wake of a Weymouth officer killed in the line of duty.
A nasty sting in New Hampshire, a swarm of bees going on the attack, sending several people to the hospital.
And a smart decision by the Celtics. Marcus Smart re-signs with the team. We'll have the details on the deal.
It was another sun-filled day across the region. How long will the sunshine stick around? I'll have more details coming up.
This is 7 News at 4.
And first at 4, community remembering a Weymouth officer killed in the line of duty. Thousands paying their respects at St. Mary's Church in Hanover. It's the start to a final salute for Weymouth Police Sergeant Michael Chesna.
And among those thousands, law enforcement officers, sergeant's family and friends, the crowds shutting down the streets leading up to that church for this very emotional day. And
taking a live look now at Hanover, visiting hours continue there. There's been an outpouring of support after this tragedy. The turnout shows what an impact Sergeant Chesna had on his community. Sergeant Chesna leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. And right now that community is rallying behind them to try and help them through this difficult time. 7's Steve Cooper and 7's Byron Barnett were on hand today for today's ceremony, and we're going to start off now in Hanover with Steve Cooper. Steve.
Jetty, and really what a powerful moment here this afternoon that went on for well over an hour. Hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement officials from all across the region coming together here to remember a friend. Take a look behind us here, and you can see the wake is underway here now for Sergeant Chesna at St. Mary's in Hanover this afternoon. The turnout was impressive and powerful and emotional as hundreds came out to honor a fallen brother. It was a solemn scene with the sea of blue shoulder to shoulder, lining the street outside St. Mary's Church here in Hanover. Hundreds of police officers from across the region joining together in the traditional walkthrough in honor of a fallen comrade, Weymouth Police Sergeant Michael Chesna, shot and killed in the line of duty.
We want people to understand that we're the mom and dads that are out there with sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles. We're just regular people doing a difficult job.
A 6-year veteran of the department who served 2 tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan and awarded a Purple Heart, Sergeant Chesna is being remembered as a hero who leaves behind his wife Cindy, his 9-year-old daughter Olivia, and 4-year-old son Jack.
It's devastating. It really is. It breaks my heart, and I feel terrible for Mrs. Chesna and her family and the children that will never see their dad again.
Officers and emergency responders coming together in a powerful show of brotherhood. Men and women sworn to serve and protect, where in death their commitment to law enforcement grows stronger.
I'm the chief now, but you know, similar to a parent, you worry about the officers that work with you, that are out on the street every day, just like you would your own children. So it's a big family, without a doubt.
Back live outside St. Mary's, and you are looking at Sergeant Chesna's cruiser out front of St. Mary's with the lights on and the black bunting as more and more people are beginning to arrive for the wake, which started at 4 o'clock this afternoon and will continue until early this evening. Heartbroken officers left here with a message this afternoon and a hope, they tell us, a hope that they never have to go through this again. We're live in Hanover. Steve Cooper, 7 News.
And along with the law enforcement officers and his family, members of the Weymouth community showed up to pay their respects to Sergeant Chesna. 7's Byron Barnett live for us in Hanover with that part of the story today. Byron.
By the way, we just got a recent head count, the latest head count of all the officers who went through. That number totals 3,350, right on the nose. But in addition to all those officers, as you said, many civilians were here today. Some of them who know Sergeant Chesna, who go to church with him here. Some who have kids who go to school with his kids. But whether they knew him or not, they were all here to show respect.
They came with flags, flowers, and heavy hearts.
You got a lot of police officers risking their lives out here, and to have something so tragic happen, it's heart-wrenching.
Neighbors and bystanders watched as the body of Weymouth Police Sergeant Michael Chesna was carried into St. Mary's Church in Hanover.
I've been following this horrible thing ever since I heard about it Sunday morning. I can't even talk now. It's been taking over my life. This poor man.
Many here remember Sergeant Chesna as a caring family man who lived and died protecting the community he loved.
Felt like it was only right to come out and show support for the family and the departments that are grieving in this time, and kind of show that we're supporting them.
For these kids to grow up without a dad, this woman to be left without her husband who, kissed him goodbye when he left for work, and, and to get that phone call. It's so sad.
And right now, the wake for civilians is going on right now. Inside the church right now, we saw Patriots owner Robert Kraft walk in there, so we believe he's in there right now at this time. We also spoke to Weymouth Mayor Robert Hedlund a few minutes ago. He said that Sergeant Chesna's widow, Cindy Chesna, was very much appreciated all of the support shown here today, but he said she was very emotional at times inside the church today. Said it really affected her. And the last thing the mayor said was that there's no talk of exactly what it will be, but he feels there is support for some kind of special memorial for Sergeant Chesna in the city of Weymouth at some point in the future. That's the latest live here in Hanover. I'm Byron Barnett, 7 News.
And Sergeant Chesna will be laid to rest in a funeral mass at St. Mary's tomorrow morning, and that starts at 11 a.m. And if you would like to donate to the family, an account has been set up, and you can find all the information about that on our website right now at WHDH.com.
We are following some breaking news right now. The U.S. Attorney's Office here in Massachusetts coming out against a proposal to legalize safe injection sites in the state. State senators are considering supervised injection sites for drug users. Governor Baker already strongly opposes that idea. In a statement, U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling said supervised injection facilities would violate federal laws. Employees and users of such a site would be exposed to federal criminal charges regardless of any state law or study. Also on 7, buzzing concerns in New Hampshire after a swarm of bees attacks a person there, sending multiple people to the hospital. Officials say a Parks and Recreation worker was cutting a tree when he hit a nest. Jonathan Hall, live in Manchester with more on the scary scene.
Well, it was pretty scary. We're certainly keeping an eye out here in the neighborhood. We've had 6 people stung, and many bees were killed in this incident as well. You can't really blame the bees. Their home was being destroyed. You can't blame the workers. They were safeguarding a neighborhood from a tree that had been damaged by recent storms.
A bee emergency off Beach Street in Manchester, New Hampshire, as a city DPW crew cuts right into a hive.
They were pretty angry, and they were coming all the way up the alley.
A man in his 40s cutting down a tree in a bucket truck found himself under attack by the bees. Witnesses watched as a coworker lowered the bucket, but the man could not get himself out of his harness.
He was hanging sideways, he was kind of perpendicular or parallel to the ground, and he was flailing, trying to swat the bees away, I think. But he was kind of hanging sideways off of the bucket.
Hours later, bees were still by the tree. Because the hive was deemed a public safety threat, an exterminator was called in to treat the hive with poison. He says they were honeybees.
The exterminator estimated there were thousands of bees in this hive. Obviously, they were not happy.
We ended up running back into our house, and bees actually chased us into our house.
The neighborhood chipped in. A veteran rushed out of his home and helped save the worker, but he too was stung many times and had to be hospitalized. The Manchester Fire Department responded at 10 a.m. and they found multiple victims.
Neighbors heard the screaming and yelling, came running out, and there was a female that received over 5 bee stings around her neck and chest area. Her 2 sons came out when she was screaming, and they received bee stings. So we had 6 patients in all upon arrival.
And the man working in the bucket truck was treated and released at a local hospital. A nurse was removing the stingers from his face. She lost count after 200. We're live in Manchester, New Hampshire. Jonathan Hall, 7 News.
Wow. All right, 7 News now turning to the weather. A nice day as we now inch closer to the weekend. We're going to take a live look outside over the city of Boston. Not a cloud in the sky out there. Meteorologist Jackie Lair here with a peek at that weekend forecast for us. Jackie?
And it looks like the weekend, at least Saturday, will be dry, and then Sunday is the day that we're going to be tracking some showers, some heavy downpours, gusty winds, mainly in the morning hours, then tapering off. Another summer beauty across the region, mostly sunny skies, beautiful. Will be slightly warmer as we look ahead towards tomorrow compared to the day today, and then the rain will slide in as we look ahead towards early Sunday. Temperatures though across the region right now for the rest of this afternoon, early evening. 80 degrees currently in Bedford, 84 degrees down towards Norwood. Slightly cooler along the immediate coastline, considering those winds are coming right in off of the ocean at this point. So we do have that coming in 14 miles per hour for Boston, so a steady wind, 9 miles per hour down towards Plymouth, otherwise between 10 to even 15 miles per hour. Currently not tracking anything in the way of any clouds or really any showers across southern New England. That cold front well out to sea that brought those stronger thunderstorms Tuesday. High pressure is dominating, which means quiet weather sticking around through the end of the work week. And we're going to be tracking a chance for some showers as we look ahead towards Sunday, timing those out. Look ahead towards the rest of that 7-day forecast in just a couple minutes.
We have more news here today. A New Hampshire man charged with murdering his ex-fiancée in North Andover facing a judge today. Police say 52-year-old Brian Chevalier murdered his ex-fiancée in April, then ran off to Mexico. He was arrested and brought back to the U.S. Today, he pleaded not guilty to murdering 49-year-old Wendy Rose Davidson.
On the 20th day of April in the year of our Lord 2018 at North Andover in the county of Essex, did assault and beat Wendy Davidson with the intent to murder her, and by such assault and beating did kill and murder said Wendy Davidson.
He's been held without bail. He'll be back in court next month.
And the man who police say took a deadly drive in Alston facing a judge today, 23-year-old Foshan Fitz, appearing in court as the prosecution requested a continuance for him. He's charged with motor vehicle homicide and leaving the scene of an accident. Police say Fitz struck an 80-year-old man in a crosswalk on Comm Ave last month. And according to police, Fitz took off from the scene. He was arrested a short time later. And a fierce fire breaking out in Abington this morning. This home engulfed in flames and smoke as firefighters work to extinguish this fire. No word yet on what sparked those flames.
A New Bedford man has been charged after a string of paintball gun shootings that left a 12-year-old boy with an eye injury. 18-year-old Victor Dos Santos charged with 2 counts of assault and battery today. He was arraigned today, released in order to have no contact with the alleged victims. It all comes after a paintball shooting earlier this month that hit Cody Hiltz in the eye. The 12-year-old says he was outside a neighbor's house on Ford Street when someone shot a paintball at him from a car.
Breaking news right now from the nation's capital. The White House now says President Trump has asked his national security advisor to invite Russian President Vladimir Putin to Washington, D.C. for a meeting in the fall. The AP says discussions are now underway, and it comes as the Russian leader is speaking out about their first meeting. 7's Kim Lucy with the details.
President Donald Trump continuing to push back against criticism of his summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin, as Time magazine reveals a new cover morphing both leaders' faces into one. President Trump says any negativity is made up by the press.
They didn't cover my meeting. The important thing, frankly, was the meeting that lasted for 2.5 hours, or almost 2.5 hours. And in that meeting, we discussed many, many things that were very, very positive for both countries.
The president saying he wants to do it again, tweeting, "I look forward to our second meeting so that we can start implementing some of the many things discussed, including stopping terrorism, security for Israel, nuclear proliferation, cyber attacks, trade, Ukraine, Middle East peace, North Korea, and more." There are many answers, some easy and some hard, to these problems, but they can all be solved. It comes after days of mixed messages from the White House on whether the president believes U.S. intelligence that Russia meddled in the 2016 election.
He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia.
Is Russia still targeting the U.S., Mr. President?
Thank you very
Let's
much.
go.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham saying this morning he thinks the president is making it worse.
I think when it comes to Russia, it's been a bad week, and I think it's imperative that he understand that he's misjudging Putin. I don't think he was prepared as well as he should have been.
Vladimir Putin, in his first public comments about the summit today, says U.S.-Russian relations are in some ways worse than during the Cold War. But he believes the meeting with President Trump allowed them to start on the path to positive change. Some lawmakers say they want to know exactly what happened in that private meeting between the two leaders. A motion to subpoena President Trump's interpreter was struck down by the House Intelligence Committee this morning.
We have a responsibility to the American people to have an oversight of foreign policy, and this administration is keeping us from fulfilling our responsibility.
Lawmakers are urging the president to reject a deal with Vladimir Putin to allow the Russians to interrogate the former U.S. ambassador to Russia in exchange for access to the Russians accused of meddling in the election. Kim Lucy, 7 News.
And we are just getting started. Coming up, a smart move.
The Celtics re-signing one of their stars to a big contract.
Then at 4:30, a teenage prank going too far in Washington State. Now police are asking some serious questions.
And ahead on 7 News at 5 o'clock, a shocking scare in the streets. A big blast in Manhattan bringing down the morning commute. We'll have more on what happened.
Plus, a New Hampshire man facing alarming allegations. Police say they found a young child living in squalor with a loaded gun on her chest.
And Tom Brady fighting back, what he has to say about Tony Romo's Super Bowl prediction. That's all coming up right here on the news station.
Big news from the Celtics, the team making a smart decision, re-signing Marcus Smart to a brand new contract. And the C's, that star, is getting paid.
Yeah, Smart will be making $52 million over the next 4 years. 7's Chelsea McDonald live for us outside of the Garden with all the details. Chelsea?
The heart and soul of the Celtics, Marcus Smart, is here to stay. The restricted free agent agreeing to a 4-year, $52 million deal with the franchise that first drafted him back in 2014, 6th overall. The 24-year-old guard has been very vocal about wanting to stay in Boston, and prior to free agency beginning, Smart told reporters he was worth more than $12 to $14 million a year. Smart was frustrated with the lack of communication with the Celtics, but backed off his demands, and he's now satisfied with the $13 million annual contract he inked with the Celtics. Stomach flu-like symptoms prevented Smart from addressing the media this afternoon, but in a statement released by the Celtics, Smart says, quote, "This is where I want to be, and I'm ready to put a green jersey back on and get to work. I'm determined to help my teammates bring another championship to the best fans in the world." So the Celtics return their gritty guard who provides a big spark off the bench with his elite level defense. Reporting live outside of the Garden, Chelsea McDonald, 7 News.
Another beauty out there.
It was gorgeous,
Yeah.
right? I guess it still is. The sun is still shining. We have to be inside, but for those of you outside,
Look at
it's
that,
quite the
yeah.
evening where the humidity is a little bit lower, it feels like, so you can really enjoy being outdoors right now. Jackie Lair is standing by to tell us what's in store for the rest of the evening and weekend.
Oh, yes. The rest of this evening, still absolutely beautiful. Another great night to open up those windows, turn off the AC, use Mother Nature's AC out there. And here's a view of temperatures right now. We're still remaining into the 70s for most locations. Otherwise, low 80s down towards Norwood, even coming in at 81 degrees right now in Nashua. Those winds, though, coming in off of the ocean. So that's keeping us slightly cooler along the immediate coastline, especially for downtown Boston as well. We're seeing the 14-mile-per-hour steady wind coming in off of the ocean there. So a nice ocean breeze cooling things off. Storm scan, not tracking anything with any showers or thunderstorms. Really not a cloud in the sky as well. Currently, with satellite and radar, not tracking any clouds. Most of those clouds are well out to sea associated with that cold front. High pressure is taking over, but that will continue to slide its way off the coastline over the course of the next couple of days. And that will allow a system to slide its way in as we look ahead towards the second half of the weekend. But for the rest of this evening, no need for those umbrellas. Still going to be all clear. And by 7 p.m., temperatures still remaining into the 70s for most locations from north to south. Looking ahead through the overnight tonight into tomorrow morning by 7 a.m. for our Friday. Definitely we need the sunglasses for that morning commute with temperatures into the 60s under those mostly clear skies. Looking ahead towards tomorrow afternoon, another warm day. Most of us will reach into the lower 80s by the middle of the afternoon for our Friday. But then high pressure will slide its way as we look ahead towards Friday afternoon. As we look ahead towards, say, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be tracking two separate systems. This one out towards the Midwest and also one just down towards our south, riding right along that eastern seaboard. That will continue to slide its way northward. So we're mostly going to be impacted by this system that's just down towards our south and west, sliding its way in as we look ahead towards Sunday morning. That'll be the best chance for some gusty winds and also some heavy downpours, pockets of heavy downpours. That eventually slides its way northward, and then we're finally going to see those showers tapering on off by Sunday afternoon and evening. But dew points will also be on the rise, so get ready for the return of that humidity, especially the second half of the weekend, where dew points will be quite on the oppressive side, back into the low 70s with those dew points, similar to what we did see on Tuesday before those showers and storms rolled their way through. Here's a look at towards the rest of that 7-day forecast, back in the mid-80s as we look at towards tomorrow. Slightly cooler, though, conditions down towards the Cape. Breezy on Saturday, then on Sunday, that's when we see those showers slide their way through. Heavy downpours at times, mainly in the morning hours. As we look ahead towards Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, still looking unsettled out there, but at least temperatures will be into the 80s, and that humidity also returns.
Time now for Fast Track Traffic. Let's get out with Beth Foster now with a check of the roads for everyone. Beth?
Hey, thank you. We have multiple crashes on the Mass Pike westbound this afternoon. First one is right here downtown, right after the Prue Tunnel in the right lane. Jam from 93 through the scene. Usual delays then westbound side. Alston out to a right lane crash. After Route 16, the volume goes into Natick. Mass Pike eastbound all good until Fenway Park and then slow to 93 through this westbound crash scene. Moving along to your drive north of town now at the Zachem Bridge. Loaded up everywhere. Lower deck backed up from Hood Park. Tobin inbound loop ramp is jammed. Same with Leverett Connector both ways. 93 northbound, you got heavy volume up to 128. On the brakes again, Andover up to the state line. Beth Foster, 7 News.
Up next here, watching the water, hear from the local man who spotted a hungry shark having some lunch off the coast of the Cape.
Then at 4:30, a one-sided discount. Why a new proposal to cut tolls for off-peak hours, raising a lot of questions.
And ahead on 7 News at 5 o'clock, coming together, an Olympic champ from Needham joining sexual assault victims in a show of strength at the EPSI Awards.
You guys are good to read these headlines.
3, 2, 1. Now at 5:30, taking a toll. The proposed legislation that could mean you pay. 3, 2, 1. Now at 5:30, taking a toll. The proposed legislation that could mean more money out of consumers' pockets if you're driving during certain time.
That's long.
Hey, Mike. So that I think his headline's not right either. Then, right? I'm reading right now for 5:30. Sorry, I was talking to Mike about this toll thing. there's discounts for off-peak hours, if that makes sense. It's not going up. Right, right.
They're going to tweak it?
Hope so. Sorry, I just want to make sure we get that right. So.
A great white shark getting up close and personal with a group of boaters. This is on the Cape. The man who recorded this video says he was out fishing with some friends this weekend, and they were a couple of 100 yards from shore when they spotted this shark having some lunch. Wow, you can see it right there near the boat. You can see the fin. Oh, and there it goes, chomping down on that. Once in a lifetime opportunity, they said, to get to see that happen. Thank goodness they were in the boat.
I've never seen anything like this. When you just saw the force that this thing demanded, it was just crazy to see it right next to the boat. I felt like I was watching Shark Week, really.
He passed that video along to researchers, of course, too, so they can get a look at it as well. Boy, that is just something to see, isn't it?
Your eyes go right to that fin, and you start thinking about everything, right? Just the fin.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see from a distance or in a big boat.
Definitely. Up next, a local woman becoming a millionaire overnight of sorts, while a bank heir had her seen some extra commas in her account.
And ahead at 5 o'clock, our coverage now of the wake of Sergeant Michael Chesna continues. Thousands packing the streets today to pay their final respects. We will have more full coverage. Stay with us.